Hi everybody, Mont Blanc Yoga Challenge here again today and workshop. It's not a hard challenge, it's one your mum and dad probably always told you around the dinner table. We're going to try and sit up straight and then we'll work on it afterwards. So a lot of us are desk bound at the moment, a lot of us are working from home and therefore not even getting to stretch our legs on the commute. Other people may drive a lot through the day. Others are sitting down for whatever reasons. Our posture therefore tends to slump, and our mum and dads were quite correct in telling us to sit up. So I'm going to ask you to give it a go, and then we're going to work on the posture, and then we'll do a little workshop on alleviating lower back pressure, because that will build up too when you sit down a lot. So give it a go, sit up straight, and then follow the instructions. So first of all, we're just going to try and sit up straight. But my first issue with my body is my legs are a little bit too short. So what I would suggest using, if you have that issue, is to use a yoga brick or some books and just pop them under your feet. And you can use the books therefore to pile them up at different heights until you feel comfortable. When you've got your feet on your brick and sit up, you'll suddenly feel that your sit bones tip a little bit. You're not leaning forward, and that's not putting all this issue of strain on the lower back here. So by raising the feet, we're able to draw our quads back into our hip joints, and there's no pull that way forwards. So that's the first point, is to try and stabilize your sit bones so that you're sitting nice and comfortably on them balanced, so no drawing forward, no leaning back. Okay, so that's the first tip. Okay, so we've stabilized the bottom half of us. We've got our feet on bricks if we need it. We're sitting nicely back on the seat, and we've grounded our sit bones. So the same as if we're sitting on the floor, you want to find your sit bones on your tailbone and find the center balance point. That's you grounded. Okay, so then we're going to work on the rest of the postural cues, and they're the same if you followed my Tadasana workshop, the mountain pose. Same cues we use in a lot of the standing poses here. So we're going to start at the bottom here at our abdomen, which is our support and strength for our lower back. Is often a little bit loose, not quite as strong as it should be, our core. But we're going to think here of drawing in across the abdominal muscles. So all the muscles below your belly button here, draw them in, but at the same time draw them up. So try and raise out of your pelvis. So you're bringing your tummy button back towards your spine, but you're kind of lifting out of your sit bones at the same time. And then we're going to think about coming up the way, our heart center. So when we often do prayer mudra, I tell you to bring your heart in towards your hands. So we're thinking the same thing here. Imagine somebody's got a hook at the front of you here and it's lifting up your sternum, the middle of your ribs here, and lifting it up towards the corner in front of you. So we're lifting up our heart center, and then we're going to roll our shoulders back and down away from our ears. And then we're going to think of the shoulder blades that we worked on before, and we're going to draw them together and slide them down the back. Now there's a little pinch point between your shoulder blades. Think of drawing that together and then trying to slide it down your back. So we're drawing the shoulder blades back and sliding them down away from your ears. Keep the tummy engaged, keep the heart lifting. Then we're going to think of the hyoid bone here, the little bone that we spoke about before here under your chin, which is our postural bone really in a lot of the poses. So we want to just think about drawing your chin back and slightly down, so back and down, and you should feel a nice long stretch then up the back of your neck, up through your cervical spine here, as if somebody again has got a hook at the lower part of your skull here, just below the curve of your skull, and they're lifting it and raising it up. Not a great look for the double chin, mind you, but really good for the posture. And then we're going to think about the crown, as if somebody's got a string coming out your head and they're raising you up. And as they raise you up, feel yourself lift again out of your pelvis. So those are the postural cues. I'm just going to do it again, and you can watch the difference in my posture. as I do them from a different angle, and then we'll move on from there. So let's try those cues and see the difference it makes in our posture. I'll do it for you to look at, but also you might want to do this in front of a mirror and just see how tall you become, and how much stronger your posture looks. Okay, so I'm going to sit here as if I normally would, having had a whole day at the desk. We end up slumping and rounding and curving forward. So I'm going to first of all find the sit bones, find the center point of my sit bone, draw them back. I'm going to think then of my abdomen. I'm going to lift it up and move out of my pelvis. One thing I didn't say was to remember that little space that we try and find, or big space between the ribs and the pelvis. So we're lifting out of the pelvis, lifting the ribs away from there. Then I'm going to draw my heart up and forward, and then I'm going to roll my shoulders back, draw the shoulder blades together and draw them down the spine. And then I'm going to think about my hyoid bone, tuck the chin back, lengthen through the back of the skull. Last thing, the ribbon coming out of the crown, lifting me up, making me 2 inches taller. So there we are, gone from here to here in a very short time. That's quite strong to sit like that, so I wouldn't suggest you try and do it all day, but if you can do it 3 or 4 times, even an hour, if that's too much for you, try it once an hour. But gradually your posture will learn to stay in that place that you've put it. So the more you use these exercises, the more your muscles will retain the memory of having been there. So give that one a go, see how you do. Okay, so last little bit to the video today is, as I promised, a bit of a workshop to try and alleviate the tension and the tightness that we get in the lower back from sitting a lot. It's also that we kind of compact that area. The vertebrae seem to squeeze down, it feels to me, and what we're trying to do is cushion it out a bit more by opening up the back vertebrae here. So very simple. We sit up nice and tall as we did before, find that posture. Then we pop our hands to our knees, and then we're just going to, using our hip hinges here, not at the waist, we want to keep a nice tight abdomen here, keep that length in the front body here between the ribs and the pelvis, and you're only moving from this crease between your thighs and your torso. So hands are on our legs, and that's just to give us a bit of support as we move forward. And then we're just going to carefully tuck the chin, remember, keep that length in the back of the spine and move forward, hinging here at the hips. Draw the tummy in, you'll get a little bit more space to move forward. Tuck the chin, allow the heart to move forward as if it's coming in a semicircle over your knees. Use your hands to support you on your thighs. And just feel the stretch starting in the lower back. Now stop when you have, you want a little sensation of discomfort in that if it's just a feeling of slight stretching, but don't go too far here. It's not about how far we can go, it's about just starting to open up the muscles in the back body here. So gradually you may be able to move a little bit further forward. It is a forward fold, this actually, because we're bringing our torso and knees, thighs together. So we're forward folding, which is all about stretching the back body. And then you can just sit here for as long as you like, using your hands to support you. You might want to put a cushion there and just rest. And keep a nice long front body, back body, chin tucked. And then bring yourself back up. Again, it's all about length here before we fold. So from there we would move on to a softer version. And so we've moved forward with a lovely long straight front body, back body, chin tucked, long back of neck. And then we're just going to roll down. So tuck the chin and start to roll from the top of the vertebrae. And allowing your spine to move up now. Imagine somebody's hooked behind your heart and they're lifting up the way there. Your spine's moving into a lovely big curve. Use your hands to support still here. And here we're finding it moving more up the spine into the thoracic area. If you want to take that a little bit further and move it into the shoulders, then pop your hands beside you onto your chair, just as extra support. Lift up through the tummy again for support in your lower back, and just allow that space between your shoulder blades to widen, open and soften. So here we're stretching out the whole of the back body. When you want to come out of this, tuck your chin again, use your hands as support, and start to roll up from the lower vertebrae, from down here at the bottom. Start to roll back up through your spine. Try and lifting out of your sit bones as you do that. Remember the posture points. Find that space between all the vertebrae. Imagine it all cushioning up now, plumping up, until we come back up to the top. Find the posture points and then soften. You can try breathing to help you remember this, so you can breathe in, lifting up out of your pelvis, and in exhale, gently softening down, not letting go, but just letting everything soften about 30%. Breathe in nice and tall, count to 4 through your nose. We breathe through our nose in yoga rather than through our mouth. And then exhaling and softening. So, just a few tips to get you through the day while you're sitting at your desks or driving, or if you just want to loosen off your back body or improve your posture. Namaste, everybody.